at the start of the season, Ed, Rapparees were everybody's favourites to be among the relegation contenders, but here we are and they're on the brink of a county final. What do you think in relation to the Rapparees side?
Well, I felt after they avoided getting sucked into relegation, I felt they could hold a bit more freedom, and they certainly proved that against Rathnewer. The handcuffs were off them. They played really well against Rathnewer. They're a very, very fast team. The forward line, full forward line, is probably the best full forward line in the county. The Mossy man, Ryan man, Dara Pepper, they got a lot of scores. I think they're a very good team. I think they're dangerous opposition for Oulart. But I still think the experience of Oulart and Oulart's ability to get the matchups right, I think Oulart will shade this one.
Yeah, well, just referring to the Rapparees and just briefly going back to last Sunday in the football, I mean, in the first half, Starlights didn't arrive. But Ed, in the second half, I can tell you they played as attractive a football as I say, and their speed was frightening. Liam Ryan, Dara Pepper, Ricky Fox, them lads, they were really on top of their game. And we have to admit, Ed, that in the quarter-finals, the best hurling by a shadow of doubt was played by the Rapparees club, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And, when you go through their starting 15, like, 9 of that starting 15 have won Premier minor titles. Some of them have won 3 actually. And they're coming from a winning mentality and all, and that all helps. Now, unfortunately, they're coming up against a team that have 15 on the team that have 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 senior medals, and that's going to be hard opposition for them. You'd expect that the key men for the Raps, like Dara Pepper, will be picked up by Barry Keogh, and Keith Roster and Tomas Mann should be a great clash, and someone like Tommy Story could pick up Kevin Foley. I thought Kevin Foley, Dara Pepper were outstanding the last day against Rathnewer. So if they get the same room, they could cause the same damage, but you'd have to feel that Oulart mightn't give them that room.
Well, it still sticks in my memory when I'll be looking back at the game and I think of these brilliant passes that the Rapparees were stringing together. From 30 and 40 yards, they were hurling the ball with great accuracy and that low, fast ball, and picked up by the likes of Dara Pepper and Kevin Foley and them lads, and they were really on fire, like. And Oulart surprised me the last day. Maybe I'm thinking differently than everyone else, but I thought they were very negative, would probably be too strong a word, but they were very defensive. Like, they seemed to give great respect to Chevaliers, like, and you'd wonder where it was coming from.
Yeah, well, the Chevaliers are a fine team too, but Oulart, even when they're not going well, they seem to have this survival mechanism that they can get out of games, and you'll have to admit they never looked like losing that game against the Chevaliers. Even when they came under pressure, they never looked like losing it. Like, Shells had a chance of getting an equaliser, ball goes up the field, goal. And for the first goal, Keith Roster got a ball 70 yards out. Most people would go for their own score, played it into Garrett Sinner, took on his man, buried it in the net. It's very hard to stop that type of play.
Yeah, well, Keith Roster and Garrett Sinner are probably playing as good a hurling as they ever played for Oulart at present time. Garrett Sinner's on fire and he's coming under a lot of pressure. And I think he's sort of been provoked a little bit. Maybe that's a bit too strong a word.
Yeah, seemingly that was going on all right, but you'll see that in a lot of games. I didn't actually see the incident myself, but Rory Jacob, Desi Moyden, like, they would have the ball in their hands over 20 times in most games, like, and they're two of them are key players for Oulart this year and for the last number of years.
Well, it makes you wonder down through the years, why was Rory Jacob employed as a number 13 and he saw the ball 3 or 4 times, and now he's out here in the middle of the field and he's orchestrating the whole game plan, and that very involved altogether. Why the great change all of a sudden, or was it the new manager arriving on the scene perhaps that brought new ideas?
Probably a change of tactics, but you'll have to admit Rory was a great number 13 for Oulart, and 10 years ago in the county final I remember him scoring 7 points in the first half, so he was very, very good in corner forward, and would be again if he had to go in there as well.
Yeah.
And it should be pointed out, Willie, that Michael Jacob, 37 years of age, he's on the verge of equaling Father Martin Casey's record of 12 county senior hurling medals, and he also has a chance of equaling another record held by John Quigley, who won county medals in 67, 77 and 87. Now we have Michael, who've won ones in 97, 2007 and maybe 2017. So it's very ironic that a family like the Jacobs would be able to equal a great family like the Quigleys. Of course, family represents everything that's good about Wexford hurling, and we've had some great families such as the Rackards, Quigleys, Dorns, Jacobs, Butlers, Fitzhenrys, so on, O'Connors, and I think it'll be a marvellous achievement for the Jacob family.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to stand here, Ed, and listen to your statistics because I couldn't compete with you on that level. So I'll believe everything you're telling me there. When I think of Michael Jacob, there's only one thing I ever think of, and that's poor Brian Cody falling down at the back of the goal in 2004. Whereas, as you said, the Jacobs and Oulart hurling, sure. And it's funny you should mention it because in the past year I was at a wake one night, and who was there? Only Father Martin Casey, and of course naturally the conversation came around to hurling, and I said to Father Casey, God, the record is in jeopardy. I said, Michael, it's creeping up on you here now. Anyhow, I said it's ludicrous to think that a Kerry man should hold the most number of medals in County Wexford. I'm sure even you would agree with me on that one.
No, Willie, I won't agree.
So I was very impressed with the Rapparees half back line the last day. Jack Kelly, Ricky Fox, and the young pair chap James, I think is his first name, is it?
Yeah, James.
I thought they were outstanding.
Yeah, James Pear has been a revelation at wing back. He used to play in the forwards for the last few years, but he's actually playing very, very well wing back. He's very athletic as well. Yeah, they're a fine half back line. Ricky Fox, Jack Kelly, they're three of them are fine hurlers.
I'm not so sure about Liam Ryan playing in the attack now. He was brilliant last Sunday there for the Starlights in the attack, but I think he's more a defensive type of hurler, likes meeting the ball and coming up the field. He'd nearly travelled as far from the full back areas to be up centre forward. What's your reading of the Liam Ryan situation?
Maybe so, maybe. Of course his best position is in the backs, but you'd have to admit, since the Raps put him up into the forwards, they've been clocking up big scores, and I think he might be more like his grandfather than we think. He's making a lot of room for a lot of the more skillful players from the Rapparees, and you couldn't argue with the scores they're putting up for the last 4 games since he went up there against Ferns, Oulart and Rathnewer.
So it's just massive. I was saying to Pat Murphy there on the South East Radio programme, I had a bit of notes in front of me, and it's easy to rattle out the statistics, of course, but they had frightening scores for the last 4 and for 5 the last day as well in the championship. And when a team is scoring so freely, they play with a lot of freedom or something like that and loosens up the whole thing. But just getting back briefly to Chevaliers and the Oulart, I think in Chevaliers' case it was again weren't convinced themselves that they could actually beat Oulart more so than Oulart pulling one across on them, and they moved everybody up the field then and forgot to defend, and Sir Nicky Kerwin blasted in the winner then. Was it more a lack of belief from the Chevaliers more so than Oulart's greatness that
maybe
gone more the line there?
Maybe so, but like the old alley team that were dominating, you sort of had to be twice as good as them to beat them, and maybe that's where Shells fell down. Oulart the Martins were very, very good against Oulart in Belfield at the first round, but there was only 3 points in that match. So
it was.
So it proves that you nearly have to be twice as good as them to beat them.
And Oulart missed a penalty on that occasion as well.
Penalty, yeah.
And then, of course, as you say, Oulart being strictly hurling. Last Sunday they were doing their bit of a tip around and all the rest, and Starlights were right in the thick of a football championship match in Wexford Park. That has to be of benefit, of course.
Of course there's a benefit, but the Starlights have momentum now, or the Rapparees have momentum from hurling and football, and I'm sure they're playing with great confidence at the moment now, and I'd say they can't wait for next Sunday. As I said, I think Oulart will win it, but I think the Raps are capable of pushing them all the way.
Yes, so it's frightful to think since they made the breakthrough in '94, the number of championships they've won, plus the fact how many they've been involved in and all the rest. And as I said in the first game, we could be here all night and we're still not going to disagree on this one. Both of us are of the opinion that Oulart are going to come through, and we'll have an Oulart St Martin's County final, which was predicted when the draw was made, I suppose.